online. So they, right. I know many of your friends may have left class, probably because they were not hearing my voice, but I kindly share with them. And if they so wish, they can join. And then let's get started. But while we do so, let's recap what we did last week, and then we would continue from there. Is there anybody who can just wrap up what we did last week for us? Yes, anybody? I think I did basically an intro. Okay, Mr. Tufo, can we hear you?
Okay, sir. Um, Last week we started with the concept of biochemistry, and as you said, it was in.
Oh, Mr. Tufo, hello, hello. Oh, sorry. Okay, Mr. Opoku, may we hear you?
Yes, sir. So as my brother was talking about the introductory part of the biochemistry, from the introduction we came to biomolecules, where he said that biomolecules are the integral part of every human being, because there's this biomolecules that comes together to form cells and its organelles before we get to tissues, organs, and then the system before a complete organism. And then with the biomolecules, you said that we had the inorganic biomolecules and then the organic biomolecules. So with the inorganic biomolecules, you said we had the metals, we have the gases, and then we have water. And with the biomolecules, you have carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and then the nucleic acids. And so that was the, and then you were talking about the elements that makes up these organic biomolecules. So then you said that it's because of the presence of carbon that makes them organic. And so with the carbohydrates, we're talking about the carbon, hydrogen, and then oxygen coming together to form these molecules. And you spoke about monomers and then polymers. And with the monomers, you're talking about structure or their basic units. It can be broken down any further. And then these monomers will come together to form a polymer. And so with the biomolecules, the organic ones, he said that carbohydrates monomer is the monosaccharides, which is the glucose. And then it's polymerize the polysaccharides. With the lipids, it's monomerize the glycerol and fatty acids, and then the polymer is the 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 steroids and then the likes. And then with the protein, you said the monomer was the amino acids, and then its polymer is the protein itself. And then with the nucleic acid, you were talking about the nucleotides. Yeah, and then you spoke about dehydration synthesis, where you were saying that this combination of elements come together when we are forming polymers, and then there is dehydration synthesis. So during their union or they coming together, water molecules are created. So water molecules leave the structure, and then when we are doing the hydrolysis, we need water to break polymers into monomers. Basically, this is what I could remember. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you so much. I think this is more than even enough. So, Mr. Opoku, God bless you, bravo. God bless you, God bless you. Mr. Tufo, are you still there? Can you hear me? Okay, all right, so let's move on. So taking off from where Mr. Opoku ended, I think essentially we looked at biomolecules. We said that these molecules interact among themselves to bring about structural integrity and physiological activity within cells. Are you okay? Many times when we talk about biomolecules, people tend to relate it only to probably to structure of living organisms, but they go beyond structure. They also influence the physiological activity of living organisms. I gave you a clear example last week, if you remember. For close to 2 hours of lecture, I was talking, but to make my voice very audible, my facial muscles had to um, uh, contract and relax to keep my mouth open and shut. Are you okay? For my vocal cords to be very audible or for me to make very audible sound, the vocal cords had to be beating. Are you okay? And all these require essential amount of what? Energy in the form of what? ATP. So there's a lot of ATP expenditure at work to bring this about. Okay. To talk about muscle contraction and relaxation, you need what we call the actin and myosin filaments, which are the basic elements in these skeletal muscle tissues. Are you okay? To overlap. Are you okay? And to bring about this contraction and relaxation. So if you look at the physiological role of living organism, at the bottom line or undergirding every physiological activity of a living organism is what we call what? Biomolecules. Are you okay? You can talk of responding to stimulus. That is very important. Are you okay? But for stimulus to be responded to, you need what? A good interplay of the activities of what of what we call ions. Are you okay? You need ions to cross plasma membrane to cause what we call the polarization of the nerves. So the neurons have to be polarized by the movement of ions across what their membrane. And these ions are what part of what we call the biomolecules in an organism. Again, you need neurotransmitters, and these are essential biomolecules which occur also in living organism. So you can think of just anything. I mean, we can take vision as an example. For me to be able to see, there's a group of proteins in my eye and in your eye, which we call rhodopsin. Can we all say it together? Rhodopsin.
Rhodopsin.
Rhodopsin, yes. Yes, it's very, very important. When it is exposed to light, it isomerizes. It undergoes what? Conformational change. And that conformational change is what triggers the stimulus, are you okay, on the retina to be able to respond. Are you okay? And so these are all very few examples I'm trying to share with you to buttress the point that at the foundation of every physiological activity is what we call what biomolecules. And so they are very, very important. One, for building up the general architecture or structure of a living organism. And then two, to facilitate the physiological activities undertaken by living organisms. Are you okay? Today, we're going to look at several things. Let me say basically two things. Number one, I want us to acquaint ourselves with common biomolecules we can find within living organisms. Are you okay? On the first part. And then for most part of this, or for most of the second part, we'll be looking at carbohydrates. Are you okay? So that's that. Let me give way for John to ask his question. John, your hand is up.
Yes, sir. It's I don't know whether you shared your screen. It's like we are not seeing it.
No, I'm not sharing any screen yet. Are you okay? We're just discussing.
Right,
so, but I'm here. You can hear.
Yes, please.
Okay, so you can be writing your notes as you hear. Okay.
All right, sir. All right, sir.
All right. So let's look at common examples of biomolecules or common biomolecules that can be found in humans and what they do. Okay. Remember, like I said, biomolecules don't just exist for existence sake. They exist for a reason. Either they are structural components, they are transport molecule, or they stimulate impulses. Are you okay? Or whatever. Are you okay? They coordinate physiological activity in one way or the other. So I want you to just share with me what biomolecule you know, okay, apart from the very few I have enumerated with you since last week. Yes, Mr. Kwame. Okay, Mr. Tufo, your hand is up. Can we hear you?
Okay, sir. Sorry for the first time I was having a network challenge. So,
Okay.
The biomolecules, last week we touched on some of them. We grouped them into organic and inorganic, and we mentioned that the organic are the ones that contains carbon, and we talked about, under the organic, we talked about carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids. And for the inorganic, we talked about water and the gases too. We mentioned oxygen, carbon dioxide. And for the minerals, we mentioned a lot of them, including sodium, magnesium, potassium. We even added some new ones like molybdenum and the others.
Selenium and molybdenum.
Thank you.
All right. So thank you, Mr. Tufo. Now we've heard you. Yes, we are looking at common biomolecules. So let me just restrict you to carbohydrates. What are the examples of common carbohydrates that can be found in humans? Yes. Let me hear you, class.
Glucose.
Glucose, fantastic. In fact, glucose is considered as the most abundant carbohydrate that can be found in a host. But let me find out from you, madam, if you can help me. Where does glucose occur in the body?
Oh, I don't know. No. Why are they? Then I know.
But I think what's okay, not be see any Jana.
I'm betting good guy.
Hello. Yes. So where can we find glucose in the body?
So glucose can be found in the blood.
In the blood, very good. So glucose occur abundantly in the blood. But apart from the blood, where else can we find glucose? Yes. So we know glucose is number one. And glucose occur in the blood. But is there any other?
Yes.
Where?
Liver.
E
Liver as glucagon.
No, please. In the liver, it exists as what? It's polymer called glycogen. So number one, it occurs abundantly in the blood plasma. That's why if we want to check your glucose level, what do? We check from your blood. But is there any other part of the human body where we can find glucose? Yes, John.
The brain.
Okay. Yeah, but not so abundantly. Are you okay? In fact, the brain is an utilizer.
Okay.
Okay, it uses the it uses the glucose. But we are talking about cases where we are likely to find glucose being stored or reserved. So blood, yes. Do you know CSF?
Yes, please.
What is CSF?
Cerebrospinal fluid.
Okay. So glucose also abound a lot in what? CSF. Are you okay? And then you are also likely, yes, Frederick, your hand is up.
Cerebrospinal fluid.
Say that again. Okay. So you are also likely to find glucose in what? In the cytoplasm of cells.
So can you say they are in the muscles too?
In the muscle, they are stored in a different form. It doesn't exist as free glucose anymore in the muscle. Are you okay? But these are the major places where you would find glucose. Primarily, it occurs in the blood and then in the CSF. Then you would also find a lot more so in the cytoplasm of most cells. Are you okay? Because in the cytoplasm, they are broken down through a basic carbohydrate metabolic process called glycolysis. So it's the major fuel to drive this pathway. And so we tend to find a lot of glucose in the cytoplasm of cells. Yes, the next carbohydrate, which is also abundant in most humans, is what we call glycogen. Glycogen. And glycogen is a polymeric form of what? Glucose. Are you okay? It's a polymer form of what? Glucose. So if you have glucose existing freely as this, then what will happen is that glycogen will rather be what? The polymer. So when these glucose join, I'll talk about this when we start looking at carbohydrate proper, okay? But it's a polymeric form of glucose. So several chains of glucose occur in what? Glycogen. So what it means that metabolically, if you break down glycogen, you get what? Glucose. Are you okay? So it's a way of reserving excess glucose for future use. And where can we find glucose abundantly in the body? Yes. Hello, class. Are you there? Mrs. Lillian, are you there? Okay, Mr. Opoku Mreku, you have raised your hand.
Um, Sir, please, glucose can be found abundantly in the liver where glucogenesis begins.
Very good. In the liver. Okay. In the liver. Okay. Please, the process is glycogenesis
Okay, sir.
and not glucogenesis. So in the liver, yes, but apart from the liver, where else can we find glycogen?
Sir, please, muscles.
Muscles, skeletal muscles. So skeletal muscles. So skeletal muscles store glycogen. Are you okay? And then liver also stores glycogen. Now, please kindly give me a few minutes. I'll be back to continue. But while you wait, think about this question. The liver and the skeletal muscles, we know, stores glycogen, but they store glycogen for two different reasons. The liver stores glycogen for a different reason, unlike the skeletal muscles. So I want you to think about what reason could that possibly be, and then you share it with us. I'll be back in a jiffy for my answers. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, so Like somebody will say, Charlie, how far?
Hello.
So, yes. So, what are you guys saying? May I hear? Yeah, so what did you arrive at? What's the very possible reason why the liver stores glycogen as compared to that of why the skeletal muscles stores glycogen? Yes. Jamila, yes, we know storage is about future intentions. Are you okay? But how do they use the glucose when the time comes or when the time is due?
Sir,
Hi.
sir, the liver stores this glucose,
Eh,
Then, okay, when the body is having too much glucose in the system,
okay.
the liver stores it, like a story, it stores it. So later
Okay.
it will turn into glycogen.
Okay.
When it turns into glycogen, anytime the body's glucose reduces, the liver convert this glycogen into glucose and infuse it through the body.
How about the muscles?
The muscles. Hey, that one there.
That one there. Issues today, isn't it? Okay, yes. Lillian, I'm seeing your hand.
Okay, so the muscle also stores the glucose in the form of glycogen. And then, so during activities, our muscles do not, like they don't have to depend on the glucose in our blood. So they store their own glucose during activities like exercise, walking and those stuff. They use it instead of depending on the one in the blood.
You say that again, Lillian. Hello, Lillian. It looks like you made a very interesting point. Can we know? Can you restate? Yes, John.
All right. So based on my search, I found out that the liver main purpose of converting glucose to glycogen is to regulate the blood sugar level and also to provide quick energy source for the body, especially the brain, during time of glucose crisis in the bloodstream.
Okay, how about
and
the skeletal muscles?
The skeletal muscle too, just like my colleague sister said, that it is the muscles also store glucose in the form of glycogen to serve as a source of metabolic fuel for the muscles during a time of crisis of glucose in the bloodstream.
Okay. All right. Thank you, John. And thank you, Lillian. I think you have done very well. So just to synthesize or just to, how do you put it? Join the two statements together, you could see that the liver stores glycogen for charity, but the muscle stores glycogen for what? For itself. Are you okay? But they are all for the good of the body. Are you okay? When the liver stores glycogen, it is so that in time of, like John put it, I wouldn't want to use the term glucose crisis, but in a time of glucose need, it will quickly hydrolyze the glycogen to produce what? Glucose. That is necessary to drive muscular activity. Are you okay? But if you compare that with the liver glycogen, when the liver stores glycogen, are you okay? It breaks down the glycogen to release energy. To release the glucose, to restore blood glucose level during the time of fasting. Let me ask you, has it ever happened to you at a time when probably for virtually the whole day you haven't eaten and yet you are still so strong to go about all your activities and call to duty? Sometimes you even forget yourself that you haven't eaten. I don't know if any of you have ever gone through that experience.
Yes.
Okay, so at such a time when you are not eating, where is the energy coming from? Are you okay? The energy is coming from what we call glycogen reserve. Part of it in the liver and the other part in the muscle. The ones in muscles power the muscular activity. The ones in the liver are broken down and released to ensure that, let me tell you frankly, your vital organs never stop. They are constantly working, whether you are fasting or you get, like we say in clinical settings, postprandial, preprandial, are you okay, or whatever. The point here is that when you haven't eaten, your heart is still beating, your liver is still working, your kidney is still filtering your blood, your lung is still breathing. Are you okay? And other parts, your brain is still working, your eyes are all working. Are you okay? And they are all consuming a lot of what? Glucose. So while you are fasting and even not indulging in very excessive activity, the demand to sustain the activity of these vital organs alone is so high. Are you okay? And much of their glucose need are supplied from the glycogen reserve in the liver. Are you okay? So the liver ensures that while we are fasting, our blood glucose level doesn't fall below standard to ensure that we become hypoglycemic. I'm sure you as nurses know better the effects of hypoglycemia. So it ensures that while we are fasting, our blood glucose level still remains steady and remains normal. And that's why we can go through the whole day without eating and still not feel any sign of weakness or lethargy. Are you okay? And still be normal. Our brains will function normal. Our heart will continue to beat and not pulse. Are you okay? There wouldn't be any problem with your pulse, with your heartbeat and all that. Are you okay? Why? Because the required glucose is being made available through breakdown of glycogen reserve in the liver. Are you okay? All right. Yes, can anybody give us another example of a carbohydrate molecule that's so abundant in the body, apart from glucose and glycogen? Yes. There's also another group of carbohydrate called glycosaminoglycans. Shall we all say it together?
Glycosaminoglycans.
Okay. So what are they? These are a group of carbohydrates which are often networked into the plasma membranes of red blood cells, and they determine our blood group.
Please, can you go over again?
I said they are called glycosaminoglycans.
Please, are they the same as the GAGs?
Yes, GAGs. That's what we call GAGs. Glycoaminoglycans. That's where the name comes from.
Okay, sir.
So they are a group of oligosaccharides. They are not monosaccharides, and they are also not what? Polysaccharides. They are not disaccharide, but they are oligosaccharides. Oligosaccharides are a group of usually between 3 to 11 simple sugars. Are you okay? So when you have 3 to 11 simple sugars joined together, they form what we call oligosaccharides. Are you okay? But many of these oligosaccharides, I think, are about 5 or 6. Are you okay? I think they are between 3. No, I think they are between 5. Yeah, 5 to 6. Are you okay? Simple sugars. And that's why we refer to them as well, oligosaccharides. They're a group of oligosaccharides which are networked, are you okay, into the plasma membrane of what? Red blood cells. And they determine the blood group of an individual. Are you okay? So they are oftentimes associated with the erythrocytes in humans. Okay.
Please, I said they often determine there was the last end.
Say that again.
They said the network, they often network into the plasma membrane of red blood cell and often determine the, I didn't get the last one.
They determine the blood group of an individual.
Okay, thank you.
Sir.
Hi.
Sir, please, this glycoaminoglycans you are saying that that forms blood groups for individuals. It's glycogen amino acids. As in the name, when you break it down, you'd get amino acids and then sugar. Carbohydrates and then proteins. With the name, but I think is a oligosaccharide. So why is the protein part of the name?
Okay. It's interesting. We'll look at that deeply when we start looking at carbohydrates in terms of their structure and stereoisomerism and all that. Okay. But here, what they have is not amino acid. They have amino. So they are carbohydrate groups. Are you okay? Which have amino groups joining them. Are you okay? So in one case, you could have what we call glucosamine. Are you okay? In fact, there's one we call N-acetylgalactosamine. Maybe I need to show you just so probably you'll be convinced enough. Are you okay? But please, any question? Let me look at my slides. So let me just show you one, at least, so that All right. Okay. All right. So let me just share this with you.
No, recognize. But not so more for so be. I think normality. Once someone to I actually answer.
Please just give me a few minutes.
Please mute your mic so
Please, as you are looking for the slide, can I ask something?
Oh, sure.
So, and then still under this oligosaccharides,
Yes.
I saw that they said monosaccharides, the oligosaccharides, and then the polysaccharides. And then when you were explaining the oligosaccharides, you were saying that 3 monomers, 3 to 11 would form monomers,
Yes.
oligosaccharides.
Sure.
Yeah, but then when I was reading, I think I came across disaccharides being part of the oligosaccharides, trisaccharides, tetrasaccharides, and then they came to the polymers. And so I don't know, but you separated the disaccharides from the oligosaccharides.
Okay. Yes, I did so because conventionally there's nothing like trisaccharide, but of course you can create it by yourself just because of the naming. Are you okay? If it's 1, it's mono. If it's 2, it's di. So obviously, if it's 3, then you can have it for what we call trisaccharide. Are you okay? But conventionally, what we have is what we call the oligosaccharide. It starts with monosaccharide, are you okay, which is a simple sugar. So they exist alone. Then we have what we call disaccharide, which is for 2, are you okay, that are joined together. And then we have oligosaccharide between 3 to 11. In fact, in some books, they'll just write 3 to 9 or 3 to 10. Okay. Then we have polysaccharide, usually beyond 20. I have also read other books where they say it's beyond 22. So like 22 and more. Are you okay? So conventionally, there's nothing like what we call trisaccharide. But like I said, maybe for explanation's sake. So it all depends on the context. Are you okay? For explanation's sake or whatever, you can decide to call it so. Okay.
Okay, sir.
All right. So let me see. I think I found one, but it's too big. Let me see if I can resize it and then just show you.
Hello, sir.
Hi, pause.
Yeah, I also wanted to add with the monosaccharide, we were only concentrating on the glucose.
Yes.
Can we add the fructose and the galactose as well?
Oh, that's nice. Yes, fructose, sure. Galactose, excellent. But the point is, they are not abundant. Are you okay? Please, are you with me?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So yes, we have fructose. For instance, if you look at the semen of men, are you okay? Seminal fluid, okay, is so rich in fructose because it is the one that supply immediate energy needs for sperm cells. Are you okay?
Yes,
But
sir.
but galactose rarely exists as free galactose. Are you okay? Because in most cases,
Okay.
galactose is converted to another form. One of it is what I'm trying to share with you, what we call N-acetyl galactosamine.
Okay. Okay. Yes, sir.
So they do not exist free like you will see of glucose. Are you okay?
Okay. Okay,
And that's why I couldn't emphasize on them, but they are part of the carbohydrate makeup in host. Are you okay? Of course, you are likely to find some trace amount of galactose in the plasma. Are you okay? In the blood.
Yes, sir.
All
right.
Yeah, sure. But of course, their levels may also rise after a heavy dairy diet. Are you okay? So if somebody takes in like milk powder or milkshake, are you okay? Like ice cream, yogurt, you get and stuff like that, then probably their galactose level may rise owing to the high level of galactose in these dairy products. Are you okay? Hello, sir. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, please. I'm clear, sir. Thank you.
All right. So let me show you as it is. I'm not seeing any way I can minimize this structure. So let me show you as it is, just to put. So I think one of you was asking that the glycosaminoglycans contains what? Amino acid. No, they do not contain amino acid. They rather contains what? Amino group. The amino group is what? NH2. Are you okay?
Yes, sir.
It's rather NH2. So this functional group, are you okay, is what makes them being called what? Amino. Are you okay? So they are typically carbohydrates, but they contain what? A nitrogen group, which is called the amino. And that's why we add it to the name. So it becomes amino glycan. Are you okay?
Sir, please.
Hi.
You are still sharing your white screen, or we didn't see the picture.
Yes, I want to. Just,
okay.
Okay. So let me share that with
you. So, sir, this explanation you just gave, that means that this amino group is different from the proteoglycans too.
Oh, sure. The proteoglycans, what it means that they are typically proteins, but they contain a carbohydrate group. Are you okay?
Yes, sir.
Hello. That's